All right, so this is our launch or introduction to LinkedOpps, how to get 10 to 20 conversations a month on LinkedIn using LinkedOpps, which is Ops.ai is our outreach automation platform where we're using generative AI to create B2B outreach campaigns. And we wanted to make sure that we launched LinkedOpps, which is our LinkedIn outreach platform. And we're going to show you kind of the process that you would go through to outreach to people that look like your ideal customer and solve a whole bunch of problems and basically automate it and run it in the background so that you can get 10 to 20 meaningful conversations a month just using your LinkedIn account and LinkedOps. Um, so I'm Michael Devlano, the founder and CTO of Ops.ai. The idea behind Ops.ai is to use generative AI to automate all the stuff that we do, whether it's founder-led sales teams or SDRs or BDRs that are doing outreach. So what that means is all the stuff that you do using creating email campaigns, researching data, setting up a campaign, writing copy, creating assets in the background on email to reach the inbox and LinkedIn, which is another process. Those two channels are very, very effective, but there's a lot of steps involved. So we're using Ops.ai where we're reducing the setup of campaigns to 1 to 2 minutes using generative AI commands. I'm going to show you how that works, and I'm going to show you the specifics of our LinkedOps outreach platform that we've launched. So really, again, our goal here is to give you a framework where you can start 10 to 20 conversations a month with your ideal customer. Our belief is the more conversations you have with people that look like your customer, you're smart enough to figure out if you can help them or not, and they're smart enough to figure out if you can help them or not. So how does this work? So really simply, four key things that we do here, and I'm going to show you all the intricacies of how to actually do this using LinkedIn and Ops.ai. One, we want to find accurate data on your ideal client. So that means you have to have an idea of who your ideal client is. Where are they located geographically? Are they in the United States? Are they in a particular state? What industry are they in and what title? And then sometimes, you might want to drill down further, finding out, well, maybe it's a certain size of company within an industry and within that title. And so one, we want to find accurate data that looks like your ideal customer. Two, I've made a note here on Sales Navigator on LinkedIn. A lot of people invest in Sales Navigator, which is the sales platform that LinkedIn uses to monetize search, really. Because what Sales Navigator gives us is two important things. One, it allows you to find the most accurate record of who is where doing what. Now, that's primary level of data. You have to figure out what you do with it beyond that because that on its own doesn't solve a whole bunch of problems like outreach automation, and it doesn't let you even reach out to them through another channel like email. So what we want to do is we want to use Sales Navigator on LinkedIn to build custom sales search based upon that ideal client profile. And then using LinkedOps, how do we use that in outreach campaigns so that we can at scale maximize the value of Sales Navigator, which is a second thing, which is it gives you the maximum number of invites every month. So when you have a non-first degree connection on LinkedIn, like a second or third degree connection, Sales Navigator opens it up so you can invite 200 new people a week in your second or third degree network to connect with you. So we're going to show you how you use LinkedOps to open that up and basically create conversations. All right, so why are we doing this? Well, because if you're in any sort of founder-led organization that's doing B2B sales, or you're an SDR or BDR, or maybe an AE today, the terms are all being whipped around and there's more and more tech stack being dumped on people. We just want to eliminate the need for you to be a SaaS expert. We want you to eliminate the need for you to be a go-to-market engineer, which is the new terminology where salespeople are also have all these technical sales operations tasks dumped on them. What do we need? We know. We just want salespeople to talk to people that look like our customer. If you're a salesperson or a founder, that's what you want. You want to create sales relationships with your ideal customer every day. We know cold pitching is dead. We need to start conversations. So if we're just pitching all the time, and pitching in a sense and messaging wise can work if you're communicating clear value and I'll show you how you can use ops to create sequences that follow a certain playbook that can, start conversations. But we don't want just pitch. We do want to make friends with people at scale, and LinkedIn is ideal for that. We just want to make sure that it's running consistently so we're maximizing our potential and reaching the maximum number of people. LinkedIn really is great because it's very, very high trust environment. If I send you an invite on LinkedIn with or without a message, what do you do right away? You look at my profile. So if I have a good looking profile and it's consistent with what I'm messaging you about, and you check out my company profile, it's a lot higher trust than, say, cold outreach email. The problem is we can't get a lot of volume, but we don't want to get zero volume. So we want to maximize what Sales Navigator gives us, which is 200 invites a week. And yes, we want content, all those other things, but the reality is that you want to be proactive and maximize the capabilities of Sales Navigator and LinkedIn. We want to avoid annoying messages. So what does that mean? Where we use, there's kind of inherent guilt in the message. We're bugging or nagging people. We're making bad offers or assumptions. So you can use ops to get you a pretty good start where you create really good messaging using our sequencing tool. I'll show you how that works, but it'll basically take who you are, what your product and your offer is, and you can set the tone. Is it a casual tone? Is it a satirical tone? Is it a humorous tone? And it will write messaging that's pretty close to what your voice is. And then you can edit it. But it gets you, like I would say, 75% or 80% there, which is pretty helpful. All right, so how do we solve all those problems? How do we make sure that we do all this? That's why we want to talk about LinkedOpps. This is our LinkedIn specific, but also multi-channel outreach platform that helps us automate campaign outreach every single day. And Valet, I'm going to show you, is our generative copilot inside of Ops that will help automate all of this, where you can just, instead of pushing buttons on a screen, you can make generative requests to set up LinkedIn outreach campaigns or email. All right, so this is ops.ai. Ops.ai has, you'll notice a couple things here, and I'll actually do a demo and show you how this works. But the primary interface right now is Valet, which is our generative copilot. So just like ChatGPT or Perplexity or any of these other tools, you can type into it in English commands, um, create a campaign, whether it's an email campaign or a LinkedIn campaign, create a list targeting a particular ICP, like your ideal client profile. So this is increasingly automating all the stuff that you would normally do, where instead of searching by filters, building a list, redeeming the list, downloading the list, creating a campaign, uploading the list to the campaign, writing copy inside of the campaign, inside of a minute or two, and I'll show you how this works, you can create a campaign with a simple generative request. And that's the end of the demo, but I'll show you how it actually works. But I think this is really, really simplifying things. You'll notice a couple of things on the interface here too. History of my searches under the letter B there. A is the filters, so you can use kind of traditional filters to find data on your ideal client. We have about 130 million records inside of Ops. And we can use other data sets outside of that, but that gets you at least some primary data. All of our data records, if you look at them, are a person at a company with a title. They all have typically a business email, the majority of them do, and then they all have LinkedIn URLs. So business email is useful for email outreach, and obviously LinkedIn URL of the individual is useful to automate LinkedIn outreach, and that's what we want to show you here. So those are kind of the primary things. You can see our marketplace. It's actually an old screenshot. I should have updated this, but the marketplace these are basically like curated data products. You'll notice when I show the demo that this is updated and you can actually purchase not only with cash, but also tokens. So every ops account has tokens that you redeem one for a record, right? So if I'm buying B2B data records on companies, people at companies that look like my customer, I redeem my tokens. I can also use that for curated data in the marketplace where maybe we've pre-built a list and you want to buy that or redeem that and use that in campaigns. This is our sequence tool that I referenced before, and what I will demonstrate is how you basically use a playbook to write messaging for both email outreach and LinkedIn. Okay, let's be realistic about this. I think this does a pretty good job for the most part. However, you still need human review, right? We still need to personalize this, clean up odd phrasing, but generally, I think it gets you 75 to 80% there to give you good copy that you can start or use in outreach campaigns, whether it's email or LinkedIn. All right. And what do we want to get to? We want to get to multi-channel or LinkedIn specific in this case that we're going to talk about. Multi-channel would be using email and LinkedIn. We've launched LinkedOpps, which is our automation platform with a whole bunch of features where you can use ops data and sequences and then set up campaigns inside of this. So you can basically build lists, set up campaigns. It'll move the data to the campaigns. You can write copy and it'll move the copy to the campaign. And then really your job is to use the inbox to reply. So when you get responses to your campaigns that are interested or positive, you would reply to those. And I'll show you even how we can integrate to CRM so that you go from all your cold outreach data and all of your cold outreach automations are in ops. And then when people have an interested reply, that's when you can automate send them to your CRM. And we integrate with a few CRMs like Pipedrive, HubSpot, and Go High Level as an example. All right, so this is LinkedOpps, and I'm going to probably do a full demo view of this, but this is kind of like the dashboard where you can see statistics on any of your campaigns that you're running. Inside of a campaign, you've got leads for data, and I'll show you actually there's multiple sources for data, not just from the ops platform to this, but you can also use LinkedIn Sales Navigator searches, and you can use a CSV if you have it that has the right formatting and LinkedIn data. But for our purposes, we want to do a sequence. We want to send a sequence. A typical LinkedIn sequence is this. First of all, you're going to integrate LinkedOpps to your LinkedIn account. You're going to make sure that Sales Navigator is active on your account. Usually you get a 30-day free trial, by the way, of Sales Navigator, and I'll show you what Sales Navigator looks like. Once you have that, then you can build a data set, put it into a campaign, and write messaging. And a typical campaign has a few things. One, it'll engage with a contact. So as a contact enters the campaign, engagement is I'll show you, you can like you can follow them, you can like a post, and you can even set up AI to comment on it if you want. An invite, so we're assuming these are contacts that are a second or a third degree connection. It'll send them an invite to connect with you. So we know that we get about 200 of these a week if we have a Sales Navigator subscription. So what we want to do is, here's the math. I want to send 800 invites a month. I want to max that out. And that's what you can safely send. Our goal is to get 20% of those 800 adding us back. And then I want 10 to 15% of that number, of those 160 people, to have conversations with me and to do something. So whatever my call to action is in my messaging, whatever my ask is. So then every month we're getting 15 to 20 new conversations a month. So that's the math. So when we say 10 to 20 new conversations, I think it's very, very realistic. We want to get out of the way all the setup and automation. We want to eliminate all the technical barriers to getting to people, and then we want to focus on messaging. Who are you? What are you offering? What are you asking? How do you deliver value? And what's the ask? What's the offer? Call to action. And that's how our sequence writer will write copy. I mentioned that you can use multiple sources here. So we are integrated between ops data and LinkedOpps in the sense that you could build a data set, as I'll show you, in LinkedOpps. And instead of downloading a CSV and then uploading it, it'll just create a campaign and move the data and the sequence you write over. You're going to see it's very simple. Now, you might also say, well, wait, I found an ideal list in Sales Navigator. So you can just use that Sales Navigator URL if you want. You can also use, like maybe you have special CSVs that we don't have, that you've built some sort of a list or a directory. You can use that as well. You can either upload it as a CSV or from Google Sheets. So those are all options to get leads into your sequence. This is Sales Navigator. If you've never seen this before, when you pay, you go under, a lot of people have Premium or they have Recruiter, but Sales Navigator are the sales solutions offering of Premium under LinkedIn. Why do people pay for this? They really pay for it, I would say, for two things. Some people pay for it for three. Some people pay for it because there's this thing called in-mails. I don't like in-mails. I find in-mails are spammy. I'm forcing my way to talk to you, even though you haven't accepted me. What I really want to do, though, is I want the best search available. So yes, you can use data from ops, and we have a lot of LinkedIn data, like 100 million plus records, right, on people at certain companies. But LinkedIn should be the most accurate representation of who is where doing what. So you can use the same filters, if you will, here inside of Sales Navigator. The only way that you get this search console is if you pay LinkedIn. The other big feature is obviously the maximum number of invites we can safely send. So that's the 200 a week. Finally, they made it so that they got rid of that social selling score thing that plagued us all, which was this black box secret score that said whether or not you could send a certain number of invites. And we had no idea whether we were getting into trouble or not. Finally, they grew up and they got rid of that. So thank you. So what I can do is build a search result here, grab the URL, and I can also use it, as you saw, as a data source in a campaign. All right, so let's go to a demo actually. And I kind of give a preview. So this is ops. So I'm logged into my ops account. So normally, as I mentioned, like, and then you've got LinkedOpps, which is our outreach platform. So here's what a campaign looks like, right? Like normally I would create a new campaign. I would add some sort of a data source. I would put a sequence in with steps. Typical steps, let's start from scratch, are I'm going to engage with a contact's profile. I'm going to like their post. Maybe I endorse a skill. I don't always love that, but and then you can even set up if you want. You can go into settings here and you can integrate it with your key to your OpenAI, or I think Perplexity is also in there. I've mainly used OpenAI. You could get create an agent, and I'll show you. We do have agents here that would comment. So that's possible. You could train it to comment like you. You could show it a bunch of your posts. You could show it a bunch of documents that represent writing that you've had. I'm not going to enable that in this case. So again, first I would engage and then I would invite them to connect. And we've experimented with two things here. So when I might create a set of um, a campaign with no invite node. And then maybe I create another one with an invitation. So that means you're not a first degree connection. I send you an invite and I say, hi there. I noticed we both follow a certain creator on LinkedIn, thought I would connect because they talk about this topic and I'm interested. Are you? So maybe that's an example of a message. If they add us back, and typically what I will do is I will do this within 30 days. If they add us back, if connected, then it would go on to the next step, which is really my messaging. So what you're going to notice in here is I'm going to choose messaging, but there's a whole bunch of other options I'll kind of show you. Oh, this is doing something weird here. Where is, huh? No, is that it? No, I don't know why I can't zoom out. It's doing this weird thing here. It's like blocking me. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I can't seem to get this to fit inside of the frame there. I'm missing something here. Oh, there we go. Zoom out. That's what I want. It's weird, it's hiding it. I wonder if this is because of Zoom itself. All right, well, it is there. I just had to be a magician and do it. All right, so this is where I would put some sort of messaging in. You can write it yourself. Hey, thanks for connecting. I work with someone, with people in your industry. I noticed we both follow X creator as an example. I'm launching ops and I thought I would ask you to give me your feedback on it. Can I get you access? Just an example of what messaging might be. So if someone connects with me from this list within 30 days, they would get that message. I personally don't send more than that because I think if I just keep peppering you and you have not replied, you're going to get mad. If they don't connect with me, I actually will withdraw the offer within 7 days. Now, other things you can do inside of LinkedOpps, you could switch this to say, well, let's send emails. So if your list has business emails, I would not personally do any other way. You could use link InMail, which I don't love. This is basically forcing a message through to someone. Sales Navigator does give you a number of InMail messages, but I don't personally love that. So to me, I'm just going to probably withdraw. Some people might send an email, which would be a multi-channel campaign at that point. You can also use LinkedOn straight up just on email campaigns. So if you want to do a multi-step email campaign, that is an option, but we're not going to do that for the purpose of this. We have had some success where we invite people to like a webinar. So you can create like a LinkedIn event, but this would probably not make sense here. This would probably actually make sense over here. So you say, oh, maybe that's the way hey, I want to invite you to my webinar, like for example, on this webinar. And then no, again, I'm just probably going to withdraw. So if I never connect with you, I'm just gonna free up my invites box, which is something that's actually on my LinkedIn account. So there you go. And then I would just set my schedule. I would say, hey, I'm only going to send Monday to Friday between these hours. Settings, I'm going to pick my LinkedIn account that I'm going to send from. So this is the identity of that. Um, this is connected under accounts over here to let me see, I'll open a new tab. I've got email accounts, but then I also have like a LinkedIn account. I could, if I'm doing multi-channel, pick email addresses that are connected. So that is an option. And then I'll talk about agents really briefly, but these are like, automations that kind of run on their own. So for example, what could I use an agent for? I could create an agent. This is where it gets a little tricky. I could, for example, connect my um, OpenAI account and then train an agent using documents that would reply to messages. So if I do get a reply, if it's a positive reply, it's tagged as, Anthropic, sorry, it's not Perplexity. So I would use OpenAI and then maybe Anthropic or Nobody as a backup. And then I can decide, is this based on chat or is it content, which you saw that other feature where, maybe the engagement in the sequence is to, enable comments. And that's where you could create an agent that would comment on people's posts before you ever send them an invite. Now, we've all kind of seen that. I think you would have to be comfortable that the agent's going to do what you want. In the end, we're all relying on OpenAI and then how you train the agent. So if you give it a lot of information on your voice and tone and how you write, it might work out really well. It could also look weird. And I don't want to look weird. As much as, you know, yeah, as little as possible, I want to look weird. So you could, but that is a feature. So if you're really ambitious, we can set that up or you can set that up. Sales Navigator invites, I never enable this, but this would mean I would send invites through Sales Navigator, not their normal page. I personally stick to their normal page. We do have features like auto reload, where let's say you have a search string, it's got 5,000 people in the search. It's only going to put 2,400 in, but then it runs through, all those 2,400 run through your campaign. This would auto load from the same URL or a spreadsheet. It's kind of a neat feature. You can make it so that you only talk to people that have premium. So either they have a premium Sales Navigator or Recruiter on their LinkedIn profile. So you can do that. I personally don't do that. And then, I always have it so if someone replies to my campaign, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to keep sending the messages. I'm going to take over the conversation at that point, which I can take over inside of LinkedOpps, or I can take over on my LinkedIn. So, we kind of talked about campaigns here. I would just save and launch this at that point. Now, let's say I'm running a campaign. So I would go in here and I say, oh, here's my campaigns. It's running. And, I'm sending so many contacts out of the list. What do I do with that? Well, when people reply to me, it's all going to show up here. And I can reply directly back to them. It'll go through my LinkedIn account to reply to them. In the case if I'm using email, it would actually send them an email. But for the most part, what we're doing is if I send you a message, you respond to it, and then I want to have a conversation, I can manage all that from this one inbox. So that is possible. And that can actually get pretty useful for multi-channel campaigns where maybe some of these replies are to email campaigns or some are LinkedIn. For the purpose of this, we're saying this is LinkedIn. Activities, this is really just analytics on what's going on inside of all your campaigns. Accounts, I think I showed this before. This is, my LinkedIn account and then any email accounts that I have connected. Automations, you can create workflow-based if then else type automations of what happens. So you can get fairly complicated here. I try to keep it simple as I showed you. And then agents, I kind of showed where we have this neat feature where you can create an automated agent that'll either comment on LinkedIn posts or reply to messages that come in the Unibox. I will show you. Yeah, and the way you train it is you give it documents, you give it a goal, and you kind of play with it in the playground to make sure it's talking the way you would expect, which is like you probably. We do have this other feature that I will mention, which is you can create a posting schedule and you can schedule your posts. So this is like that inbound led outbound, where we want to have good LinkedIn content that people are engaging with. This is a way that you can have a schedule of LinkedIn content. So like, for example, let's say, hey, every weekday at 10 a.m., let's say 10 a.m. Did I pick it? No, I guess I didn't. There we go. So you can see I have a time slot. There's no content there yet. I can also use an agent to automate content scheduling and create content. I'm personally, again, not quite ready for that emotionally, but it is there. If you're ambitious and you want to try it, I kind of want to create my own content right now. Okay, so now you can see here's a schedule. I can use this then to schedule out my posts. I can, let's see, post on cold LinkedIn outreach automation. Oops, helps if I can type. Oh, and I don't have my API key stuck in. I don't have my OpenAI connected to this account, but normally it would help actually generate the message if you want. In this case, I didn't connect it to this, so it's not good. But I can, I can create a LinkedIn post, I can add images, and then I can schedule it out. So that is a pretty useful tool, I think. It's a little bonus. While we're focused mainly on outreach, you do want to support your outreach with good content. You want to show that you're contributing valuable ideas and content around problems that you solve. And you want to have something that people can check out and have high trust. So it is a neat kind of feature. All right, so the final thing I will show inside of LinkedOpps are integrations. So I mentioned, you can connect into Anthropic or OpenAI. Oh, it looks like we added Gemini. I didn't realize that. I didn't notice that. And then there's like three main CRMs that we connect to: HubSpot, Go High Level, and Pipedrive. So the way this would work is I would connect this to my HubSpot, let's say, and then I would create an agent or an automation that determines the behavior. So for example, I might create an agent that says if there is a reply that is positive and I deem how a reply in the inbox, like the Unibox, is positive, add that to my HubSpot. And that's a feature that I can add through this part of LinkedOps. So basically, you're getting in CRM what I would say is unqualified leads, right? Like I think the data that are in your campaigns for linked ops and ops in general is kind of cold. So I always look at that as first touch. And if I get a positive response, however I deem something interested, or maybe they want to book, or they say yes, they'll get a video, or yes, they'll try out my product, or whatever my call to action is, they respond positively. I would want the AI to identify that and then put it in CRM so I don't have to do it. And that's what happens here. So then when I look in CRM, I know I have a bunch of new contacts that I got to qualify. I have to figure out, do they have budget, timing, need, or how good of a prospect is this? And that's how you can kind of set up that flow. So first touch is an ops, and then everything else is in CRM. It's like qualify the lead, create a deal, manage the deal from interested to close. And that's kind of what you would do in Go High Level or in Pipedrive. All right, so I think so. Just to recap, um, oh, and I'll show you here. So, like for example, if I want to create a LinkedIn campaign, it's this easy. So I can just tell Valet, our generative copilot, create a LinkedIn campaign targeting companies. It's going to ask me this, which is essentially asking like what companies do you want to target. So I'm going to say software industry located in United. Ooh, am I typing again? States with the title CTO. Chief Technology Officer. And what it's going to do, it's going to research and find data on ops in our platform. It says, oh, I have this many results that match your criteria. How many do you want? I'm going to say 12. I'm going to call this. Now, it's also referencing, hey, do you want to write a new sequence? I prefer to actually write sequences here and then save them and then reuse them. So if I want to do that, I could say, no, excuse me. I'm just going to pick one just for the sake of this demo. And we number them so it's easy to figure out. You don't have to type exactly VP of whatever. So what's it done? It's actually created the campaign. Let's see if I can find it here. So I keep doing demos and it's probably further down. So you see it's created the campaign. It's set up a bunch of, it's moved the data over, and then it's moved my copy. So in this case, it's sent an invite message, and then in this case, it has two follow-up messages, three, which might be a little aggressive. Maybe I want to space it out by 10, 20, 30 days. Maybe I want to eliminate one of the steps, but basically my campaign is ready to go. And it's that simple. And I can add more complex steps, obviously. It's like, well, maybe I need to send an email or send an invite to an event, but I can update it from that point. But you can see in like a minute or less, I've basically set up a LinkedIn outreach campaign. And that's the idea behind Valet, which is our co-pilot. Excuse me. Oh no. All right. So that just to summarize, through Ops and our new LinkedIn outreach platform, LinkedOpps, you can basically leverage all the potential of Sales Navigator. You can find data that looks like your ideal customer on Ops. You can write sequences that matches your tone. You can set up and automate the outreach campaign inside of LinkedOpps once you connect it to your LinkedIn account. And as an alternative, you can use Sales Navigator search strings to maximize the 800 invites a month that your Sales Navigator account gives you. And then the goal is really simple. And I'll just kind of, break this down, which is I want to send 800 invites a month per LinkedIn account. My goal is to get 20% adding me back. If it's the right list and the right message to them, this is pretty doable. We've seen higher, we've seen lower, but we've seen higher. And then to get 10 to 15% of those that added me back into conversations. And that's basically how we get, 10, 20, 30 new conversations a month with our ICP. So if you'd like to try this for yourself, here's how you do it. So what you would do is you can use your email. You just basically put whatever your email address is that you're going to use for for ops. Go to app.ops.ai, put your email address in. It'll send you a one-time login code. Every time there's a one-time login code. Let's see. Whoops. No, I'm just going to go into my email. I'm not sharing the screen. Sorry. Let's fix that. I'm just going to go into my email, get the one-time login code. Oh, I don't have that account on here. Whoops, that's a mistake. Let's get it on my phone. Put your one-time login code in. So let's assume this is a brand new account. What you would do is then go under integrations. You're going to subscribe to LinkedOpps. When you go to the Stripe checkout, on the left-hand side, there will be a coupon, a place where you can add coupon. Make sure you add coupon. This will then give you 95% off your first month. So if you use linked 95 off, your first month on LinkedOpps will be $5. And you can cancel at that point, or you can just renew it, and it's 97 bucks a month. There's two components, by the way, to an ops and LinkedOpps account that brings it to 199 if you want, which would be um, you're going to want data subscription as well. But if you just want to use LinkedOpps for $5 for the first month to try it out, you wouldn't be able to use necessarily data. You could use the free basic plan. So under my profile, you'll see right now I have a big plan here, but you can use our basic plan and use the code free basic at Stripe checkout to get 250 records a month for free. And then you would add the integration to LinkedOpps using this code, linked 95 off. And so basically for $5 for your first month, you can do LinkedIn outreach. You just make sure that you have a Sales Navigator account that will work. If you want help setting this up, all you have to do is just DM us on LinkedIn or message Michael at ops.ai. Let's put that in and say, hey, help me set this up. And we're happy to give you a free onboarding. So you would just book like a 15-minute meeting on our calendar. That would be a free onboarding. We'll get you set up with your 250-month tokens for free. That's a lifetime account. And then you can try out LinkedOpps for $5 for the first month. All right, that's a lot probably. So thanks for everyone that registered and joined us, and we will make sure that we send out details on this offer. And we look forward to helping you grow your network and to set up 10 to 20 conversations a month with your ideal customer.